Today we are going to explore the extraordinary life of Samson, one of Israel's most famous judges. Samson's story is one of strength, betrayal, and redemption. But it's also a story that shows us the consequences of disobedience and the unrelenting mercy of God. The story of Samson begins even before his birth. Samson's parents, Manoah and his wife, were childless, and they prayed for a son. One day, an angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife and told her she would bear a son, but there were special instructions. This child would be set apart as a Nazirite, a person consecrated to God from birth. He would begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines, who had been oppressing Israel for years. The angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, "You are barren and childless, but you are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son. Now see to it that you drink no wine or other fermented drink, and that you do not eat anything unclean, because you will conceive and give birth to a son. No razor may be used on his head, because the boy is to be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will take the lead in delivering Israel from the hands of the Philistines." Samson grew up to be a mighty man with incredible strength, a gift from God. Yet, like many people in the Bible, Samson's life was marked by contradictions. He was chosen by God for a special purpose, but he often struggled with his own desires and weaknesses. Samson's strength was not his own doing, but a result of his obedience to God and the Nazirite vow, which forbade him from cutting his hair, drinking alcohol, or touching anything unclean. One of the most pivotal moments in Samson's life occurred when he fell in love with a Philistine woman from the town of Timnah. This was a choice that went against God's will, as the Israelites were forbidden to marry people from other nations who worshipped idols. Samson's parents were concerned, but he insisted on marrying her. Despite this, God used even his misguided choices to begin the process of delivering Israel from the Philistines. Samson went down to Timnah and saw there a young Philistine woman. When he returned, he said to his father and mother, "I have seen a Philistine woman in Timnah. Now get her for me as my wife." But his father and mother replied, "Isn't there an acceptable woman among your relatives or among all our people? Must you go to the uncircumcised Philistines to get a wife?" Samson said to his father, "Get her for me, she's the right one for me." While on his way to Timnah, Samson encountered a young lion that attacked him. With the strength God had given him, Samson tore the lion apart with his bare hands. Later, when Samson returned to the carcass of the lion, he found bees had made a hive inside it, and he took some honey from the carcass, violating the Nazirite vow by touching a dead body. Though this act showed Samson's disregard for the sacred vow, it also highlighted his complex nature, powerful, yet often careless in his obedience to God. Samson went down to Timnah together with his father and mother. As they approached the vineyards of Timnah, suddenly a young lion came roaring toward him. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him so that he tore the lion apart with his bare hands as he might have torn a young goat. But he told neither his father nor his mother what he had done. Samson's downfall came through his relationship with Delilah, a woman from the Philistine valley. The Philistine rulers saw Samson as a threat and offered Delilah a large sum of money to discover the secret of his strength. Delilah repeatedly asked Samson to reveal the secret of his strength, but Samson lied to her multiple times. However, eventually, Samson's love for her led him to reveal the truth. His strength was tied to his hair, and as long as he kept his Nazirite vow, he would remain strong. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver." Delilah, after much persistence, finally coaxed the secret from Samson. She had his hair shaved off while he slept, and when he awoke he was powerless. The Philistines captured him, gouged out his eyes, and put him in prison to grind grain. Samson's tragic mistake was not just his weakness for Delilah, but his lack of repentance. He had compromised so much that he lost sight of his calling and his covenant with God. When Delilah saw that he had told her everything, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come once more. He has told me everything." So the rulers of the Philistines came, with the silver in their hands. After putting him to sleep on her lap, she called for someone to shave off the 7 braids of his hair, and so began to subdue him. And his strength left him. In prison, Samson's hair began to grow back, and with it, a spark of repentance. He prayed to God for strength one last time, asking for vengeance on the Philistines for his eyes and his humiliation. God, in his mercy, answered Samson's prayer. With his hair restored, Samson's strength returned. At the Philistine temple, he pushed against the pillars, bringing the entire building down upon himself and the Philistines, killing more in his death than he had in his entire life. Then Samson prayed to the Lord, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please God, strengthen me just once more, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Then Samson reached toward the 2 central pillars on which the temple stood, bracing himself against them. Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." Then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people in it. Thus he killed many more when he died than while he lived. Though Samson's life was marked by great strength and potential, it was also marked by mistakes, disobedience, and his own pride. But in his final moments, he turned to God and found strength, reminding us that no matter how far we fall, God's mercy is always available to those who seek it. Samson's life is a powerful reminder that strength alone is not enough. True strength comes from God, and it is found in obedience, humility, and repentance.